Commercial spray foam roofs are sold as multi-decade solutions, but treating them as an asset you can set and forget guarantees they won't last. This 3D cross-section illustrates an SPF, or spray polyurethane foam, roofing system. It consists of two entirely different parts, a thick, porous bottom layer of foam and a distinct, thin, solid layer of coating. The foam layer forms the foundation. It provides high-grade thermal insulation and creates a seam seal that keeps water out of the building. But polyurethane foam is highly sensitive. If exposed directly to ultraviolet radiation from the sun or direct rain, the material immediately discolors, shrinks, and erodes away. That is why a sacrificial top coating, usually made of silicone or an elastomeric material, is applied over the foam. This thin shield completely intercepts the UV rays and weather, keeping the vulnerable foam intact. Maintaining one of these roofs actually has very little to do with the roof structure itself. Your entire maintenance strategy comes down to preserving that microscopic outer defense layer before the structural asset underneath is compromised. Facility managers often struggle to justify spending money on a roof that isn't actively leaking. Waiting for a visible failure feels like the frugal choice, but that wait triggers a strict financial chain reaction. The moment weather breaches a degraded top coating, moisture enters the porous foam. Once the foam is wet, your repair bill scales from cheap routine maintenance to a massive capital expenditure, a major, unavoidable long-term investment. This line graph maps those two financial trajectories. The flat, low-cost line represents the operating expenses of routine recoating. The steeply spiking line shows what happens when water infiltrates the foam, which forces a complete tear-off and replacement. Allowing that protective coating to wear away entirely strips the system of its economic advantage. You take a renewable asset and turn it into a rapidly depreciating financial liability. Commercial rooftops are harsh environments. Day after day, intense ultraviolet radiation slowly breaks down the chemical bonds in the top coating. On top of the sun, you have physical traffic. An HVAC technician drops a heavy wrench, creating an immediate, deep puncture in the material. Poor drainage accelerates this wear. Standing water and clogged scuppers create intense stress points, softening the coating and wearing it down much faster than the rest of the roof. When isolated damage, like a dropped tool, occurs, the solution is a minor repair, a targeted operational patch placed over the specific puncture. But a minor patch is structurally effective only if the surrounding, broader surface coating is still thick and viable. Many building owners fall into the minor repair trap. They try to patch their way out of a roof that is suffering from systemic whole roof UV aging. Placing a fresh patch over a single hole does nothing to stop the inevitable failure of a thinning, aged top layer across the remaining 20,000 square feet. It provides a false sense of security while the asset continues to degrade.
You can identify the exact moment a top coating shifts from normal wear to systemic degradation by looking for a few specific visual symptoms. The first is chalking. If you touch the roof and find a powdery residue on your hand, the protective layer is actively breaking down chemically. Next is alligatoring, a pattern of microcracking that splits the coating across large, sweeping sections of the roof surface. Operationally, if you find yourself calling contractors for spot repairs every few months, your current maintenance strategy is no longer viable. The final, definitive warning sign is the appearance of exposed foam. When the white coating peels back, it reveals a stark, bright orange or brown sponge-like material completely vulnerable to the sky. Once that foam is exposed, UV rays and moisture immediately begin destroying the physical structure of the roof and severely degrading the building's insulation value. Exposed foam means the protective shield is completely compromised. At this stage, a full recoat is an immediate, non-negotiable requirement to prevent total destruction. A full recoat is a strict structural restoration process. It is entirely different from a cosmetic layer of paint. The process begins with rigorous moisture evaluation. Any sections of foam that are wet or physically compromised are physically extracted and completely replaced. Next is surface preparation. New coatings will catastrophically fail to adhere to dirt. High-pressure water jets violently strip away grime, leaving a clean path behind. Only after the surface is repaired and cleaned is the new protective coating applied. It is sprayed to a specific, engineered thickness to completely reset the roof's weather-resistant life cycle. A successful recoat treats the underlying substrate issues first. Attempting to spray a new coating over active decay or trapped moisture guarantees a short-lived failure. Unlike traditional roofing systems that eventually force a tear-off, a spray foam roof gives owners an actionable window to intervene before structural failure becomes irreversible. For an operations manager, the math is straightforward. If you see chalking and are constantly paying for patches, your current strategies are failing. A systemic recoat is required to prevent upcoming operational downtime. For a property investor, stepping in early is a highly leveraged financial move. Recoating isn't a sunk maintenance cost. It preserves the massive original capital investment of the building. This matrix compares a timely recoat versus a reactive tear-off. On the left, proactive recoating retains your asset at low cost with zero downtime. On the right, failure forces total asset loss, maximum capital expenditure, and severe facility disruption. Deciding whether your roof needs minor patching or a full recoating requires a professional diagnosis to evaluate the health of the underlying substrate and map out the necessary preparation. A spray foam roof's multi-decade longevity is not guaranteed. It is actively secured by treating the coating as a renewable shield. Schedule a professional evaluation to act, diagnose, and protect your asset before the financial options narrow.